What's the story, Morning Glory? What is the word, Hummingbird? Well, the word is Michael Darby from the Real House of Potomac, Ashley Darby's ex-wife, ex-husband, who left her single and destitute. He is suing Candiace Dillard Bassett, for $2 million for, let me get this right, for defamation of character. He claims that comments that she had made on the show earlier this season were absolutely false. And he is seeking $2 million in damages. So during one of the episodes of this most recent season, he claims that Candiace had said, and she did say this. He's not claiming it. She did say this when Candiace and Ashley were going at it in one of their many, many arguments. Candiace tells Ashley that your man likes to go to so and so's house and pay to perform fellatio on him. And Michael Darby claims that this is not true. Michael Darby also claims that he had sent Candiace cease and desist letters in the beginning of the year to retract her statements, and she never did. So now he's coming after her with a $2 million lawsuit. Wow, these reality TV shows, people keep on saying how they have become very, very dark, and they really, really have. Now, I stand for Candiace because of how she was treated this season by Giselle and Ashley and Ashley's weird looking friend. I stand for Candiace completely, 100%. But in the past, I have not been a big fan of Candiace because her mouth is pretty reckless. All of these women talk about each other. All of these women sling mud at one another. They go after each other's husbands. They go after one another. They go after their business. I mean, all kinds of stuff, right? And so at what point does it become, basis for lawsuits instead of it just being shade? This is what people do on reality TV. They go after one another. Is it expected that the average person, like a reasonable person who's watching a show like this, The Real Housewives of Potomac, is it expected that a reasonable person will hear Candiace say these things about Ashley's then husband and think, oh, she's just throwing shade? We know that's not true. We're not paying Candiace any mind. We know, this is just how it is on these reality TV shows. Or are they taking it to heart and they're like, oh my God, I can't believe that, Michael Darby would do that. He's a whole married man out here and he's paying people to do this and that and the other. So it all comes down to, in a court of law, it all comes down to, would a reasonable person give any credence to the things that Candiace said? That's number one. So did she actually do anything wrong? That's number one. Number two, was he actually damaged? And was it worth $2 million? And how was he damaged? Were people coming up to him, like basically accusing him of like, oh my God, you did this to your wife. You're paying people or you're paying men to do these acts with them, and you're a whole married man. Did he feel like it ruined his reputation? But all of that is not for me to decide. It's not for you to decide. It's for a judge to decide if this lawsuit actually goes through. Now, the only thing that I want to know. Now, one more thing about Candiace. Like I said, and people say that, Ashley has said some things, they all say stuff about each other. They all say things about each other. All of them do. Now, I think it's one thing like when it's on the show, because it's kind of like, because everybody loves to say that reality TV show is not real. It's scripted. Everything is staged. These are just actors. People love to say that. So if people think, if the average person thinks that, oh, this is all scripted, this is like watching, General Hospital or As the World Turns or Young and the Restless, it's not any different from any of that. Then of course, Michael Darby doesn't have a case. If a reasonable person watching this would dismiss it as being fake and scripted and it's not real. But if a reasonable person is thinking that, okay, she is really trying to come after this guy and she knows that what she's saying is wrong or what she's saying is false, she knows this and she's still saying these things, then I don't know. Because the best defense, obviously, to defamation is the truth. If she can prove that, if Candiace can go to a court of law and actually prove that this is what Michael Darby does, then he has no case. Okay? Now, all I want to know is, Chris Bassett, are you taking notes? Are you taking notes? Okay, this is what you need to do to Giselle. I feel like Chris Bassett, in my personal opinion, he needs to file a lawsuit against Giselle and Ashley and Ashley's friend. What's her name? Deborah. He needs to file a lawsuit against them because I don't know about Michael Darby and whether or not people believe the things that Candiace said about Michael Darby, but I do know one thing. I believe Chris when he says that this has ruined or it has affected his reputation. And the husbands are not the stars of the show. They don't get paid by the show. So they're just regular people. Now, it's one thing to go after someone who's considered a celebrity. It's sort of expected that people are going to gossip and say things about celebrities that may or may not be true because of the status that they hold. Like people can say, y'all remember all the crazy things that people would say about Michael Jackson, that he slept in an oxygen tank and all these weird things about any celebrity. Just name any celebrity, any well-known celebrity, just name them. People have said all kinds of things. Publications have gotten rich off of gossiping about celebrities, and they get away with it because I think there's something in the law that says, when you are a celebrity, when you're a famous person, it kind of comes with the territory that people are going to say things about you that may or may not be true. And so the person saying the things is somewhat protected, but then again, we have because it's sort of like it's understandable that it's not going to be believed. Like, oh, people are always going to gossip about celebrities. They're going to say all these things about celebrities, just to sell magazines or just to whatever. Now, I'm thinking about when Cardi B had sued Tasha K and the things that Tasha K was saying about Cardi B. Now, I think the difference is that in that situation, Cardi B's reputation was ruined. People were believing the things that Tasha K had said. It was not dismissed as just, oh, that's just some tired celebrity gossip. People actually took that to heart, and Tasha K was presenting it as the truth. Now, I think that's why Tasha K got in trouble. The things that people will say about, I don't know, Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, I'm trying to think of some big time celebrities, Wendy Williams, the things that people will say about them. I think a lot of the times you can come across an article and you're kind of like, yeah, I don't believe this. I'm not gonna, this is just nonsense. Now, Carol Burnett, she had filed a lawsuit years and years and years ago, and I think her case was like a landmark case for celebrities. I think it was something about her, and I should have done my research, but I didn't think I was going to talk about Carol Burnett. I think it was the National Enquirer had written an article, and I think it was it about her daughter or was it about her? I think it must have been about her. They had said something about her, and she sued them. And I think she actually won, if I can remember correctly. But it was a landmark case because it was a win for famous people, kind of like letting people know, hey, we're people too. You can't just say whatever you want and then just get away with it. And as I was going to say about the Real Housewives, is that their husbands are not cast members of the show. They're just, they're there on the show and they're on camera, but they're not getting paid, and they're kind of like there for the support of the cast. So maybe Michael Darby is not fair game. And the things that Candiace has said, I think the things that he's suing her for things that were said on the show. And she kept on and she kept on and she kept on. And he claims that he sent her a cease and desist and she just kept on saying things about him. Now, I don't know if is it different from the things that she says online in her own personal time when she doesn't have the protection of the show? Because if you're on the show and you're saying things about another cast member or you're saying things about another cast member's husband, it can be seen as, oh, this is just for TV. This is just for show. Everybody knows it's not real. But then when you go onto your social media platform and you're continuing, not just Candiace, but any of them, and you're continuing to say things about the other person that you may not be able to prove, maybe that other person does have the right to sue you. I don't know. But this is going to be very interesting. And I know that Michael Darby, he plays dirty because I mean, he left his wife, from what Ashley said, he left his wife with nothing. Saying that, I mean, that's what she said. He left her with nothing in their divorce. She got nothing. Now, Chris Bassett, back to you. It seems like what the things that Giselle has said, I mean, it was very, very problematic. I don't know why he doesn't just sue her, because it was wrong. There could have been it could have been reasonable for people. Now, it could have been reasonable, I guess, for someone to believe that Chris had done or said something to her that made her feel so uncomfortable, because she wouldn't feel uncomfortable for nothing. She wouldn't feel uncomfortable just because she was sharing a space with him. Everyone's going to assume that something must have been said or done to make her feel uncomfortable. Now, the thing with Deborah, the proof is in the pudding. The footage showed that nothing was happening, nothing was going on, so maybe there's no lawsuit against her. But they were definitely perpetuating this narrative that he was some kind of sicko who was doing something inappropriate with his wife's castmate. For the life of me, I don't know why Chris Bassett won't sue her, because this was like one of the main storylines for this season. She stood by it. She didn't back down at all. And from the clip that we saw of the upcoming part 3 reunion, Chris was mad. He said he had to answer to his family. It affected his job. And I know that it did something to his reputation as well. So I don't understand why he doesn't just sue her, because she needs to be taught a lesson. She thinks that, not just Giselle, but a lot of these other people, they think they can be so reckless with their mouths and just say whatever, because they don't like someone, because they want attention, because they want to be the star of the show. And the line has to be drawn somewhere. And with the things that Giselle had said about Chris, I think that's where we have to draw the line. A lot of this stuff can be dismissed as shade, especially if it's directed to another castmate. But when you bring someone in who's not even a part of the show and you want to throw mud at them, I think that's a whole nother story. You need to be able to back up what you say. I don't know, but Carol Burnett made history. Cardi B made history when she sued Tasha K. And I don't know if Michael Darby is also going to make history when it comes into the world of reality TV and not being able to say whatever the hell you want to say if you can't back it up. That's all I have to say. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. On your way out, don't forget to rate the video if you like this content. Go ahead and subscribe, and I will definitely talk to you later.